Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. This time, we're diving into this pretty interesting mix of education, technology, and we'll even throw in some logic for good measure.
Yeah,
So we got kind of a diverse stack of sources here.
right.
A little bit of academic excerpts, some study guides, even like a frequently asked questions thing.
Yeah.
So buckle up, because we are going to uncover some, I think, pretty surprising connections
Ah.
between ancient wisdom and the digital age.
Yeah, it's remarkable, isn't it?
Wow.
How much these topics kind of all
Right.
intersect.
Like how we educate
Yeah,
is constantly being reshaped by tech.
exactly.
And then technology itself is really built on these logical foundations.
Right.
And then logic gives us the framework to actually analyze and improve both.
Well said.
Yeah. So speaking of logic, one of our sources dives into ancient Indian philosophy.
Well done.
And it actually outlines 4 distinct ways we gain knowledge.
Oh, wow.
Have you ever heard of the pramanas?
I have.
Okay. So pramanas are a cornerstone of epistemology in Indian thought
Yeah.
and offer this framework for understanding how we acquire knowledge.
Okay.
So the first one is pratyaksha,
Right.
or perception,
Uh-huh.
and that relies on our senses to gather information
Yeah.
about the world around us.
Makes sense.
The second one is anumana, which
Right.
is inference,
Right.
involving drawing conclusions based on reasoning and evidence.
So far, so good.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the other two?
Well, the third pramana is upamana,
Okay.
which involves comparison and analogy.
Okay.
We use this one constantly,
Right.
learning new concepts by relating them to things we already understand.
Right.
And finally, we have shabda,
The shabda.
which refers to knowledge gained through verbal testimony
Oh, okay.
or reliable sources.
That one really resonates for me in
Right.
our information landscape.
Oh, yeah, in our current world, yeah.
You know, we are just bombarded with information from countless sources.
Okay.
But how can we even begin to, like, determine what's reliable?
Right.
Especially when so much of it is coming from, supposed experts or authorities online.
That's where understanding logic and being able to identify fallacies becomes crucial.
Right.
A fallacy essentially is an argument that might sound convincing at first glance,
Okay.
but it actually contains flawed reasoning.
Oh, I love this example.
Okay.
From one of the study guides. It
Oh.
says feathers are light.
Okay.
What is light cannot be dark.
Right.
Therefore, feathers cannot be dark.
Okay,
Yeah.
but that's a classic example of equivocation.
Okay.
The word light is being used with 2 different meanings,
Right.
creating this deceptive line of reasoning.
Yeah.
It's like saying banks are where rivers flow,
Uh-huh.
and banks are financial institutions.
Yeah.
Therefore, rivers flow through financial institutions.
Right. It's so obvious when you break it down like that.
Exactly.
And, you've probably encountered these fallacies countless times without even realizing it.
Probably. Yeah.
Now you'll have this keener eye for spotting them.
You'll be able to, impress your friends.
Right. Maybe win a few
And
arguments
some arguments, yeah,
along the way.
for sure.
So even these ancient philosophical systems
Mm.
were really grappling with these challenges of misinformation
Right.
and faulty logic.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, how does this ancient system of Indian logic compare
Right.
to, like, Western philosophical traditions?
Well, there are definitely areas of overlap,
Okay.
particularly in terms of deductive reasoning.
Uh-huh.
However, Indian logic often places a greater emphasis on the role of the observer
Okay.
and the importance of context in shaping knowledge.
Oh, okay.
For instance, the Upanishads and the Vedas,
Okay.
ancient Indian texts,
Yeah.
emphasize the interconnectedness of all things
Right.
and the idea that knowledge is not merely objective,
Uh-huh.
but also influenced by our individual perspective.
Right. It's a good reminder that there are really multiple ways of understanding and approaching knowledge.
And this awareness of different perspectives feels particularly relevant
Right.
when we consider something like education policy.
Yeah.
After all, a policy is essentially a set of arguments
Uh-huh.
about how best to achieve certain educational goals.
Right. That's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our sources provide this fascinating overview
Right.
of how Indian education policy has evolved over time,
Yeah.
reflecting these shifting priorities and changing approaches to learning.
Absolutely.
So let's dive into that.
Okay.
What were some of the key milestones
Right.
in this evolution?
Sure.
Our sources mention policies from 68,
Right.
86, and 2019.
Well, the 1968 policy was a landmark moment,
Okay.
emphasizing science education,
Okay.
aligning the education system with national development goals.
Right.
It sought to modernize the curriculum
Uh-huh.
and expand access to education across the country.
Wow, okay.
However, by 1986, there was a growing recognition.
That simply importing Western models of education wouldn't suffice.
So it's interesting. So the 1986 policy was like a course correction of sorts?
You could say that.
Yeah.
The 86 policy emphasized the need for a fine synthesis
Okay.
between modern technology and India's rich cultural traditions.
Uh-huh.
There was this conscious effort to integrate technology into education
Right.
while preserving the values and wisdom embedded in Indian culture.
And our sources actually quote the policy,
Right.
talking about finding that fine synthesis
Right.
between change-oriented technologies and the enduring values of our civilization.
Beautiful language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounded very forward-thinking for its time.
It was.
Yeah.
And this focus on blending tradition and technology is still relevant today
Right.
as we navigate the complexities of digital learning.
Right.
Now fast forward to the 2019 policy draft,
Okay.
and we see a shift toward even more ambitious goals.
So the 2019 draft really highlights this evolving landscape of education. What were some of the key points that you found particularly striking?
Well, the 2019 policy sets this bold target
Okay.
of achieving universal pre-primary education by 2025
Wow.
and ensuring foundational literacy for all by the same year.
That's amazing.
It also recognizes the importance of early childhood care and education,
Okay.
reflecting a growing understanding of the crucial role those early years play in a child's development.
It's a huge undertaking.
Yeah,
And it highlights really the challenges
Yeah.
and opportunities facing education systems worldwide.
for sure.
Yeah, it really brings to light how education policy is constantly adapting
That's too right.
to these new realities.
Yeah.
From technological advancements to changing social landscapes.
For sure.
So speaking of technology,
Yes.
let's shift gears and talk about how it's transformed the classroom itself.
Okay.
I mean, remember overhead projectors?
Okay.
That was cutting-edge tech
Right.
back in the day.
Absolutely.
And the very definition of educational technology has expanded so dramatically.
Oh, yeah.
Since then,
For sure.
it's no longer just about hardware like projectors or computers.
Right.
It really encompasses software,
Uh-huh.
online learning platforms, virtual reality,
Wow.
artificial intelligence,
It's incredible.
and even the way we think about pedagogy itself.
It's amazing.
It's a far cry from the days of simply using audiovisuals
Right.
to supplement traditional teaching.
Yeah.
So what are some of the most significant leaps in ed tech
Okay.
that you've observed?
One of the most fascinating shifts has been the move from simple audio-visual aids
Okay.
to more interactive and engaging technologies.
Uh-huh.
For instance, one of our sources mentions a teaching program that uses a virus analogy
Oh, wow.
to teach students about how information can be corrupted.
It's so cool.
It's a creative way to use technology to make abstract concepts more tangible
Right.
and relatable.
It shows how technology can really spark curiosity
It does.
and make learning more engaging.
For sure.
It makes you wonder what will be the next big leap in ed tech.
Yeah, what's next?
And how will these technologies continue to shape the way we learn and teach
Absolutely.
in the future? But for now, let's zoom out a bit
Okay.
and talk about how technology is changing not just classrooms,
Mhm.
but government as well.
That brings us to e-governance,
Okay.
a concept that's becoming increasingly relevant in our digital age.
Yeah.
Essentially, e-governance is about leveraging information and communication technologies,
Okay.
or ICTs,
Right.
to make government services more accessible, efficient, and transparent.
And from what I'm seeing in these sources,
Right.
the potential benefits of e-governance are pretty incredible.
It is exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine increased transparency,
Right.
204/10 access to services,
Mm-hmm.
and even the ability to participate in government processes
Right.
from the comfort of your own home.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's almost like having government in your pocket.
Almost. Yes. The possibilities are quite exciting.
Yeah.
However, our sources also highlight some crucial challenges
Right.
that need to be addressed for e-governance to truly succeed.
The sources mentioned a few things.
Yeah.
What were some of the key challenges that stood out to you?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is the issue of digital literacy.
Okay.
Not everyone has equal access to technology
Right.
or the skills to navigate the digital world effectively.
Right.
For e-governance to be truly inclusive, we need to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to develop these skills.
It's like building a bridge to the future, but not everyone has the tools to cross it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And alongside digital literacy, cybersecurity is paramount.
Right.
As government services move online,
Mm-hmm.
protecting sensitive data becomes even more critical.
Right.
Building trust in these systems requires robust cybersecurity measures
Right.
to safeguard against breaches and ensure that people feel confident interacting with the government digitally.
That's a crucial point.
Yeah,
So for e-governance to truly flourish,
right.
it needs to be built on this foundation of digital literacy
Yeah,
and cybersecurity.
for sure.
It's a reminder that technology itself isn't like a solution.
Right.
It's a tool.
It's a tool.
And how we use that tool will really determine its ultimate impact.
Well said.
So,
We need to be mindful of both the opportunities and the potential pitfalls as we continue to integrate technology
right.
into all aspects of our lives,
Mm,
from education to governance.
absolutely. So we've covered a lot ground in this first part of our deep dive.
It's pretty amazing.
From ancient Indian philosophy to modern e-governance.
Yeah.
And we even touched on how technology is transforming the classroom.
It's a lot.
And there's so much more to explore.
There is.
We haven't even delved into those micro-expressions I mentioned earlier,
Oh, right.
but we'll save that for part 2.
Looking forward to it.
Yes, we'll uncover those hidden signals in our facial expressions
No.
and explore how they impact our communication,
Yeah.
especially in dynamic environments like the classroom.
Fascinating stuff.
Take-
Welcome back to our deep dive into education, technology, and logic. Before we move on, let's pick up where we left off. We are about to explore those fascinating micro-expressions.
Yes, these tiny, fleeting facial expressions that can reveal so much about a person's true feelings. It's like a whole secret language written on our faces, and if I remember correctly, they happen super fast, right?
Exactly. Micro-expressions can flash across our faces in as little as 125th of a second. They're often involuntary and can betray emotions that someone might be trying to conceal, or even emotions they're not consciously aware of themselves.
That's incredible. It really makes you wonder how much we're missing in everyday conversations. So how can we even begin to spot these micro-expressions? It seems like it would take a trained eye.
It does take practice, but there are certain telltale signs to look for. Each emotion is associated with specific muscle movements in the face. For instance, a slight tightening of the lips could indicate tension or disapproval. A furrowed brow often signals confusion or concern.
So it's not just about recognizing the expressions themselves, but also understanding the context in which they occur. A raised eyebrow could mean surprise or skepticism, depending on the situation.
Precisely, context is key. And here's where it gets really interesting. Micro-expressions can be used for both positive and negative feedback. Think about a teacher in a classroom.
Oh, I see where you're going with this. They can be incredibly powerful tools for communication, even in subtle ways.
Exactly. A cold, hard stare held for just a moment can be a powerful way to address disruptive behavior. On the other hand, a genuine, fleeting smile, even if it's just a micro-expression, can reinforce positive behavior in a way that words sometimes can't.
It's amazing how such subtle expressions can have a real impact, especially in a dynamic environment like a classroom. It really highlights how complex and nuanced human communication is. But for a change of pace, let's take a trip back in time and explore another fascinating element of education we found in our sources. Let's talk about those ancient Indian universities.
A fascinating chapter in the history of education for sure. Are you thinking about Nalanda University?
Yes, Nalanda was a major Buddhist monastery and center of learning, wasn't it? What I find fascinating is that it existed centuries ago, back in the 5th and 6th centuries CE, during the Gupta Empire.
It was a truly remarkable institution located in what is now Bihar, India. Nalanda flourished as a hub of knowledge for hundreds of years.
It's hard to imagine the scale and scope of such a university in that era. What kinds of subjects did they teach there?
The curriculum was incredibly comprehensive, covering almost all fields of knowledge at the time. Students could delve into science, medicine, philosophy, and, of course, Buddhist teachings. It wasn't limited to just religious studies. It embraced a wide range of disciplines.
So it truly offered a well-rounded education. Were students primarily from the surrounding area, or did they come from further afield?
Nalanda attracted scholars from all over Asia. We're talking Tibet, China, Korea, Japan, Sri Lanka, and even Southeast Asia. Imagine that, a global center of learning thriving centuries ago.
It's incredible to think about. I read that even ancient architects from China studied at Nalanda, taking that knowledge back home to incorporate into their designs.
That's right. It illustrates how interconnected the world has always been and how education has the power to transcend borders and cultures. It's both inspiring and humbling to consider the legacy of Nalanda.
Absolutely. It makes you realize how precious knowledge is and how fragile it can be. Tragically, Nalanda was destroyed in the 12th century by an invading army. So much knowledge lost.
It was a devastating loss. But thankfully, Nalanda was later excavated by the Archaeological Survey of India, and today we continue to learn from its ruins, piecing together the story of this remarkable institution.
It's a reminder that we must protect and preserve knowledge. But speaking of knowledge, let's fast forward to the modern world and talk about something we encounter every day, often without giving it a second thought. Let's talk about the internet.
Ah, yes, the internet. It's become such an integral part of our lives that it's easy to take it for granted. What insights did you find in our sources about the internet and its impact?
One thing that stood out to me was the clear distinction between the internet and the World Wide Web. They're often used interchangeably, but they're not actually the same thing.
You're right, that's an important distinction. The internet is the vast network of interconnected computers and servers across the globe. Think of it as the underlying infrastructure, the roads and highways that allow for data transfer and communication.
And the World Wide Web, or WWW as we know it, is built on top of that infrastructure. It's the system we use to access and share information through those interconnected documents and resources.
Exactly. The World Wide Web is like the traffic flowing along those roads, carrying information in various forms. Those uniform resource locators, those URLs we use every day, are like addresses guiding us to specific locations on the web.
That analogy really clarifies things. It's like the internet is the foundation, and the WWW is one of the many applications built upon it, and this foundation has led to a revolution in how we store access and share information.
Our sources highlight how the internet is impacting everything from education to e-governance. It's breaking down barriers and creating new possibilities for learning, collaboration, and civic engagement.
Speaking of e-governance, it seems like a natural extension of this interconnected world. Our sources pointed out the potential benefits: increased transparency, citizen engagement, cost savings, but also highlighted some of the challenges that come with it.
Absolutely. One of the key challenges is ensuring digital literacy for everyone. Not everyone has equal access to technology or the skills to use it effectively. This digital divide is something we need to address if we want e-governance to be truly inclusive and beneficial.
It's like creating this incredible platform for civic engagement, but not everyone has the tools or the knowledge to participate fully.
That's a good way to put it. And alongside digital literacy, cybersecurity is another critical concern. As we move more government services online, protecting sensitive data becomes even more important.
It's a balancing act, isn't it? Harnessing the power of technology for good while also mitigating the risks. It seems like every technological advancement brings both incredible opportunities and potential pitfalls.
It does. And that underscores the importance of critical thinking, thoughtful planning, and robust security measures.
Well said. Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, there's one more topic from our sources that caught my eye. It's something that underlies so much of what we do in the digital age: programming languages.
Ah, yes. Programming languages. The languages that allow us to communicate with computers and instruct them to perform specific tasks. It's fascinating how they've evolved over time.
One language in particular stood out in our research: Python.
Python is an incredibly interesting language. It's considered a high-level open source language, which means it's designed to be relatively easy for humans to read and write. And it's freely available for anyone to use and modify.
That accessibility seems like a key factor in its popularity.
It is. Python is known for its clear syntax and straightforward structure, making it a great language for beginners to learn, but it's also incredibly versatile and powerful, used by everyone from web developers to data scientists.
So it strikes a balance between user-friendliness and capability, which is pretty impressive. It's a far cry from the early days of programming with punch cards and complex code.
Indeed, the evolution of programming languages is a testament to human ingenuity. We've come a long way in making them more intuitive and accessible, which has opened up the world of coding to a much wider audience.
It really makes you wonder what's next for programming languages. How will they continue to evolve to meet the demands of an increasingly complex and interconnected digital world?
That's a great question, and one we'll have to ponder as technology continues to advance.
And on that note, we're going to wrap up this second part of our deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground, from the subtle language of microexpressions to the vast landscape of the internet and the power of programming languages.
We've explored the ancient world of Nalanda University and the challenges of e-governance in the digital age.
And we're not done yet. Be sure to join us for part 3, where we'll delve into the world of research methodologies, explore those different levels of teaching, MLT, ULT, and RLT, and maybe even tackle a few more logical fallacies.
The deep dive continues. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive. We've explored some really fascinating territory so far, from those ancient Indian universities to e-governance and everything in between. But For this last part, let's wrap things up by exploring the world of research itself and those different levels of teaching we touched on earlier. And hey, maybe we can even squeeze in a few more logical fallacies for good measure.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah. It's really amazing how much ground we've covered already.
I know, right? It's a testament to how interconnected all these topics really are. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's talk research. It might not sound like the most exciting topic at first, but trust me, it's way more fascinating than you might think. Our sources really dive into different research methodologies, and it's basically the how of research, how we gather information, how we analyze it, and how we ultimately draw conclusions from it.
It's like having this toolbox full of different instruments.
Mhm.
Each research method is really designed to address these very specific types of questions and gather very different kinds of data.
That's a great analogy. And just like a really skilled craftsperson, a good researcher needs to know which tool is best suited for the job. So, what are some of the research approaches that caught your eye in our sources?
One that I found particularly interesting is narrative research. It's this qualitative approach that really focuses on these individual stories and lived experiences to understand a phenomenon.
So, instead of just looking at numbers and statistics, narrative research delves into the human side of things. It's almost like storytelling as a research method.
You could say that, yeah, narrative research recognizes that those personal stories can provide these incredibly valuable insights and help us connect with these broader issues in a much more meaningful way.
It makes you realize that research isn't just about cold, hard data, it's also about understanding people's experiences, their perspectives, and those stories that they tell.
Exactly. Another approach that really stood out to me is grounded theory, which is also a qualitative method. And grounded theory focuses on developing theories that are grounded in the data itself. It's this really interesting iterative process of collecting data, analyzing it, and refining the theory as you go until it really fits with what you're observing.
So instead of starting with this preconceived notion, you let the data guide you toward a theory that emerges from the research itself. It kind of reminds me of the scientific method we all learned in school: observe, hypothesize, experiment, and
It's
analyze.
very similar, and it highlights the importance of being really systematic and rigorous in our approach to research, whether we're studying these huge social phenomena or very, very tiny scientific processes.
We can't dive too deep into every single research methodology out there, but I think the key takeaway here is that researchers have this incredible variety of tools at their disposal, and choosing the right tool is just absolutely crucial.
Couldn't agree more. It's about understanding those strengths and limitations of each approach and selecting the one that best aligns with that research question and the type of data that you're ultimately seeking.
Well said. Okay, let's switch gears for a moment and revisit those different levels of teaching we touched on earlier. Remember, we have the memory level, the understanding level, and then the reflective level. It's like this hierarchy of cognitive engagement.
Precisely. The memory level, or MLT as it's often called, forms the base of that pyramid. It's the most fundamental level, focusing on memorization and recall of facts. Think of it as building a strong foundation of knowledge.
It's important, but it's just the starting point, right?
Exactly. From there, we move up to the understanding level, or ULT. At this level, students go beyond simply memorizing those facts. They really start to grasp the meaning and those connections between those facts, and that's how they develop a deeper understanding of the subject matter.
So they're not just like regurgitating information, they're actually like making sense of it.
Yeah. Precisely. They're building upon that foundation of knowledge, and they're really starting to see that bigger picture. And then finally, we reach the peak of the pyramid, the reflective level, or RLT.
And this is where things get really interesting. The reflective level is all about really fostering those higher order thinking skills.
Absolutely. At this level, teaching becomes problem-centric. Students are encouraged to think, critically analyze information, apply their knowledge to these real-world situations, and even generate brand new ideas. It's about empowering them to become these active learners, these critical thinkers, and these problem solvers.
It's about going beyond simply understanding a concept and actually being able to use that knowledge in really meaningful ways.
Exactly. And it's at this reflective level that true learning and true growth occur.
What a great way to sum it up. Okay, so before we wrap up this deep dive entirely, I think we have time for just one more quick dip back into the world of logical fallacies. Do you have any favorites that come to mind?
Oh, there are so many to choose from. But one that we encounter quite often in everyday conversations and debates is the appeal to inappropriate authority, also known as argumentum ad verecundium.
Yes. That's the one where someone tries to win an argument by citing this expert who's not actually an expert in the relevant field.
Yeah,
It's like citing a famous actor's opinion on climate change just because they're well known.
exactly.
Yeah.
They might be an expert in acting, but that doesn't automatically make them a climate scientist.
Mhm.
The appeal to inappropriate authority is a fallacy because it relies on the perceived credibility of the source rather than the actual validity of the argument itself.
It's a great reminder that we always need to be critical of those information sources and evaluate the expertise of anyone making claims, especially in areas where you really need that specialized knowledge.
Well said. It really all comes back to critical thinking.
And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this entire deep dive. We've covered so much ground today, from ancient Indian philosophy to those modern research methodologies. We even went through the complexities of e-governance and learned how to spot a sneaky logical fallacy or two along the way.
It's been an incredible journey. We've really seen how education, technology, and logic intertwine in these fascinating ways and ultimately shape the world around us.
And I hope you've come away from this deep dive with a much deeper understanding of these really important topics and maybe even some brand new questions to ponder.
Because at the end of the day, that's what the deep dive is all about, sparking that curiosity, encouraging exploration, and empowering you to keep learning and keep growing.
Until next time, keep those minds engaged and never stop exploring. And remember, stay curious, stay informed, and keep diving deep.